Hi, everybody. Welcome to our monthly webinar. How are you? Thank you so much for taking time out to join us this Thursday evening. So it's really awesome to be with you here again. I see that a lot of you have logged in early today. So thanks to all the early birds who have joined us. So tonight's topic is definitely very, very interesting. And I think maybe that's why you have also joined us. Before we start, I would just love to know where is everybody from. So I'm based here in Singapore right now. Where are you from? Let us know in the chat. And of course, feel free to say hi. Just, let us know where you're from. Oh, wow. The first person who answered today is George from Hong Kong. We do not usually have a lot of participants from Hong Kong. So we are very happy to have you here, George. We have Curious from KL, Deborah, hi Deborah, Herman, we have Karen from Singapore, Ali from Malaysia, Stella from Singapore, Priscilla from Singapore, Cynthia from Ipoh, Malaysia, very specific. And then we have Ishu from Singapore, Joseph, James from Singapore. Wow, lots of friends from Singapore and Malaysia. What about Indonesia? Do we have any Indonesians in the room? Let us know in the chat. We have Has, yes, we have Ira from Indonesia. Hello. Eric is from Hong Kong as well. Bao is, you say me, so I guess you're from Indonesia. Pebbles, yes, from Indonesia. Wow, that's super awesome. We are very happy to have all of you here join us today. So I also would like to find out, is this your first, second, third time joining us? So maybe you can just put in the number. How many times have you joined us? If your first time, you can put 1. If you cannot remember, you can just say cannot remember or multiple. Okay, let's see. We have those who are joining us for the first time. Trisha, George. Let's see. Has say don't remember too many. Wow, thanks Has for being our loyal supporter. We have Cynthia, first time, Hesty, first time, Bao, first time, Arun, first time, Herman, countless. Amy say join forever. Okay, super awesome. Sakti, first time. Wow, so many of you have replied. Thank you so much for your really being engaged. And I think this is also one of the I would say how we run our webinar. We want it to really be a two-way conversation, so not just like myself as the moderator as well as our panelists who will be speaking. We love to hear from you. We love to hear your input as well. So thank you so much for being so participative so far. Okay, so I think February is not just the month of Chinese New Year, which has just passed, but it's of course also the month of love. So if you don't mind sharing, or you love to share, you can share with us how did you celebrate Valentine's Day this year. I think a lot of people now, other than just celebrating of course with your partners, but I think Valentine's Day now sometimes it's also known as Galentine's Day, like where we hang out with our girlfriends and things like that. So how has it been for you? What did you do for Valentine's Day this year? Let us know. Okay, so once again, thank you so much for joining us. We are very happy to have you. And then today we want to just do a couple of simple exercises. So today is going to be very, I would say, we want you to be doing things at the same time. So it's not just me talking. So if you do not already have with you, maybe like a pen or piece of paper, do make sure you have it with you. I think that will help with our exercises later. But before we start, of course, I just want to do a very quick introduction, because I know that some of you are here for the first time, as you have mentioned. So if you do not already know, you can see, like in Zoom, my name is Violet, and I'm also dressed in violet so that you cannot forget me. So I'm the CEO and co-founder of Lunch Actually, and sometimes also known as Chief Cupid as well. So of course, a lot of people always ask me, how did I end up being in this industry? Because obviously it's something that's very unique, it's very niche. So I was actually working in a bank previously. So maybe do we have any bankers in the room? You can let us know. So I was working in a bank, and I saw that a lot of my colleagues were single and not dating. And to me, that was quite interesting, because, like bankers being bankers, usually, you guys are like well-groomed, attractive, eligible. Then I was just thinking to myself, why is it that so many of my colleagues were single and not dating? then I realized it's because a lot of them were married to the job lah. Yeah, so I think they just didn't have time to date. And at the same time, I have quite a number of friends who are getting married and getting engaged as well. So I realized that people who usually get married or get engaged, they met their other half at school or at university. So in a way, if you kind of miss the opportunity, it gets increasingly more difficult to meet someone. So I also saw this opportunity of lunch dating, which then was very popular in UK, US, Australia, but nobody was doing anything like that here in Singapore or even in Asia. So that's kind of like my aha moment, like eureka. So I decided to quit my job and start lunch actually with my then boyfriend, now husband. And time flies, it has been almost 18 years now. Yes. So what do we do at lunch actually? So of course, we offer matchmaking services. We offer coaching services as well. But I think one of the most important thing I just want to share with you is that our matching philosophy, because we realize that finding the right person is not just about meeting the right person. Because I'm sure if you ask your friends who are single, like if you ask them why they are single, chances are they'll say that because I've not met the right one. But what we have realized is that meeting is really just part of it. It's very important to also be the right one and choose the right one. And I think sometimes, like our education system, they teach us like reading, they teach us math, they teach us science. But I think relationship is actually also a science, which I think, a lot of times we are not taught that. So we decided to have our coaching arm, and also we decided to start our webinars. So we have been doing our webinar since COVID, and it has been very well received. And we thought, like, why not just continue? So this is really our way of giving back, to just share the knowledge, the expertise that we have accumulated over the years, and share it with people who are interested to learn more. So yeah, very, very excited to have all of you here today, where we can share our knowledge. And of course, we will be very happy to answer as many questions that we can at the end of tonight's session. So if you do have questions, all you have to do is just to put it in the Q&A box. I cannot guarantee that we will answer all questions, but we will definitely do our best. Okay? Yes. So we have two very, very special guests with us tonight. And incidentally, both their names start with R. So I would like to really welcome both our panelists. We have Renee and Rose. Let's give them a big, big warm welcome. So, please put in the chat, hi, hello, welcome, so that, they know that you are really excited to see them. Yes. Okay, I see all the hello coming in. Okay, so I think Renee is someone that has spoken at our webinar for quite a number of times. So those of you who have joined us, then she's definitely someone that you would know. However, Renee, we do have quite a number of newcomers with us tonight. So would you like to introduce yourself to the community?
Hello, hi everyone. Hi Violet, hi Rose. Thank you for having me again. So yes, so I have been joining this webinar for quite a few times. So for those who do not know me yet, I am a dating and relationship coach from Lunch Actually. So basically what I do is that I give out the right tools and techniques and guidance for singles and also couples to get the relationship that they want and how to sustain a healthy relationship. I'm very happy to join all of you today. Thank you, Violet.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Renee. And of course, we have Rose, yes, who is also no stranger to our webinar if you have joined us. So Rose, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi everyone. I'm Rose. So thanks for having me on this webinar, Violet. Hi Renee. So my name is Rose. I'm the country for Singapore, and I've been here for 10 years now.
Okay, thank you so much, Rose. So we are having a very, very interesting topic for tonight. Why is dating so hard? Okay, so I think this is a question that we do hear from our singles here and there, especially when we meet them during consultations or we meet them during coaching sessions. And then sometimes, like, some of the things that they say to us would be like, I can't find the right one, like the person that I like, maybe they don't like me, or the person who like me, I don't like them. So maybe before we start going into this topic proper, we want to hear from you. So I'm just going to launch the poll right now. So this is something that we do as well. Like we want to hear from you. Like, is this true for you, or have you heard your friends saying this? Yeah, so you can just join the poll right now. It's in front of you, very easy. You can just click. And of course, for those of you who have some other answers, like other reasons, please do feel free to type in the chat as well. Like, what do you think is the challenge? Is it like because someone like you don't like them, the person you like, they don't like you, or is it because nobody is able to meet your standard? Yes, so let us know. Quite a number of you have already joined the poll. Those of you who have not, please do join us, because we do want to hear from you as well. So I'm just going to do a quick countdown and then I'm going to end the poll. Okay, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm going to end the poll right now. Yay, more than 70% of the room have answered. Okay, so overwhelmingly, 52% of the room say yes, this statement is true. So I think a lot of you feel that either you like the person don't like you, or things like that. And then the next one is 35% of the room say that I have no opportunity to meet good singers. Okay, so I think maybe some of you are a bit like my banker friends last time, like just didn't have the time or the opportunity. And then 6% of the room say no one meets my standard. Wow. Okay, so those of you who said this are like, share with us your standards. We want to know about your standards in the chat as well. And of course, the others, I think some of you say that because you are using online dating apps, a lot of them are fake. They are not the people that they say they are. Wow, on this topic, right? How many of you have watched Tinder Swindler? Let me know in the chat. Say yes, if you have watched it. Let me see. Okay. Yes. Wow. Lots of you have watched it. I watched it last week with my husband, and oh my goodness, I was so shocked. And those of you who have not watched, you probably might want to catch it on Netflix. It's really, really very, very scary. And I think this is definitely one of the reasons, like a lot of singles come to us, because they know that at the very least we have met up with the person, we have done checks. Yes, but anyway, do watch it. It is really quite scary. Okay, so thanks for sharing your thoughts on this. So, of course, we would like to now get our experts tonight, Renee and Rose, to share with us their views on this. So, Renee, what do you think?
Thank you, Violet. I'm sure many of us are actually not exactly sure about the reason why we are still single. Right? So you might just be guessing or thinking about that. And some of you might start wondering, where are all the good singers going? Why does someone I like don't like me back? Why is someone that wants me isn't good enough? Yeah, so these are some of the common questions that we always have. When it comes to finding the right one, right? There is a major difference between having standards for what kind of person you want or need. Not many of us actually realize that the standard we have is not necessarily the person we need in our life. If you think about serious relationships, what do you really need from a person? Is it her appearance or his appearance? Is it the job? Is it the characteristic? Of course, having standard is very important because it helps us to actually know the most important things that it takes to make a marriage work, of course. When it comes to morals, values, beliefs, lifestyle, relationship, and life goals, like financial independence, honesty, personality, and chemistry, right? These are the things that no one should ever compromise, because these are your core needs and standards. But other things outside of these, right, such as heights, your looks or your preference or your wants, those are the things that we should be flexible about. So make sure, that we do not have a checklist syndrome. That means that we need to be open and meeting more people. If you will also learn more about yourself in this process, you know what you want and don't want. Of course, it's also a good idea to know what characteristics, right, are most important to you, but you need to be flexible about those criteria so you won't end up missing out on many interesting people. Why? Because they don't match enough of the must-have items on your checklist. The best way to deal with this problem, right, is to revisit your criteria, paying special attention to how many of them are flexible and how many of them are inflexible. If you've been rejecting a lot of potentials lately, right, then perhaps some of your criteria are too inflexible and you may need to adjust it.
Wow, I totally agree with you, Renee. And I think checklist syndrome is something that we do see quite often with some of our clients. And I think it's also made worse maybe by, the various dating platforms out there, right? Because again, when we join like a dating app, they will probably have this list of questions, and then they'll ask us what we are looking for. And as a result, there's also a lot of choices. So I think for a lot of singles nowadays, when they all they need to do is just kind of like swipe lah, and then once they swipe, and then they might even can have like multiple dates, in a week, or I know some people can even go on like more than one date in a night as well. So I think with all these dating apps now, singles can really talk to many different people, arrange for many different dates, and as a result, it's also quite easy to really lose interest as well. So I remember this friend of mine was telling me she went on a date and then she met this person on one of the dating apps, like can't remember, is it Tinder or Bumble? So she went to the washroom, and then when she came out, like she happened to can see, like what the guy is doing on his phone, and then she saw that the guy is already swiping again. So I think this is really the challenge, because dating apps really give singles like this whole paradox of choice. Like even though the person in front of you seems good, but maybe you always kind of think like, is there like maybe a better person out there? So Rose, what do you think? Like what can singles do, like if they shouldn't create a list of criteria, like what are some of the things that they can look out for, or what should they do?
Thanks, Violet. I totally agree with you, with choice. Yes, just it's so easy to give up on the person in front of you and start looking for someone better out there, right? And if we are always looking for someone better, what happens is we actually never end up with one person. We keep trying to move on, find fault, and go back into our dating apps again. I think when it comes to what singles can do, when it comes to a checklist syndrome, I have clients coming to me with a whole checklist on this A4 piece of paper as well, is to understand level of attraction. So a lot of clients will ask me about what is attraction? Is it chemistry? What is it made of? And what I like about being in my role is I understand, or I learned more about what attraction is defined as, the theories of attraction. So this is very interesting. There are 3 levels of attraction. Okay, and the first level, or the most basic level, is the biological level of attraction. So this is of course the outwards appearance. Lowest level, where we all start out at, especially on your dating app when you first look at the profile, right? So this will be your I think looks, how you are in terms of photos. When you meet up with the person, what are your first impressions? So attraction and first level of impressions are largely based on this level. Of course, this level is where we feel the strongest, when it can feel very overwhelming, and this is your love at first sight lah. Okay, personally, I don't believe in love at first sight. It's just lust. So this part is your lust, the physical attraction. Okay, and there's the next level. So this level will be based on significance. A little bit healthier than the first level, when it comes to significance. We are all social creatures. No man is an island, right? We all want to feel important. We all want to feel secure, when it comes to our relationships. So when we are operating on this level, we enjoy being a significant person in our partner's life. We maybe seek the approval, or we feel very wanted because of our partner's approval. It could even be from the feelings of being involved in our partner's social circle, in the sense that you are getting a pass or entry to this person's social circle. So this could be meeting their parents, their friends, and we feel proud to say that this person is committed to us and is our boyfriend, our girlfriend, or our partner. Okay, but if we put only emphasis on this level, what happens is, if it mixes with the first level, it can create a huge concoction of very intense emotions of fear, anger, and jealousy. And all of these emotions can destroy a relationship because there's no trust. Okay. And the third level of attraction is based on meaning. Very healthy level of attraction when it comes to when it comes to attraction between two parties, because on this level we talk about having a common sense of purpose. We talk about having a common goal. Okay, so a couple that shares this attraction means that they respect each other, they show support, we understand each other's priorities, and I would want to be there to help you reach that goal, whether it comes to supporting you during down times or celebrating, the wins that you might have. Okay, so when it comes to this level of attractions, think about, what do you want your future relationship to be in? Is it just based on love at first sight? Level 1. Would it be when it comes to very dependent on how important you are seen, being that trophy girlfriend, or always being approved by social circle? Okay, or the third one, whether you want a relationship that's based on common goals, someone that supports you in your career goals. I have a lot of very capable professional ladies who say that, I'm very comfortable in my career, I'm very driven, but my boyfriend doesn't want me to work late, wants me to give up my career. Do you want someone who supports you on your goals, your dreams, your passions?
Thank you so much, Rose, for that. I think that's definitely very important and very interesting. And we have a question here. So Billy, you very greedy there. Billy say, can I have all three of them? Okay, so I think we function on abundance and not scarcity. So I think it's possible to have all three of them. But I think what we are trying to say here is that ultimately we should aim for meaning, because like what Rose has mentioned just now, when it comes to biological, or like maybe even she has mentioned love at first sight, or even last, right? Like it doesn't last forever, that's why I tell you, these 2 months, I'm not sure about you, I've just been reading the news about so many celebrity breakups. It's crazy, like people who got married 3 years ago, 5 years ago. And I mean, obviously these celebrities, they are like, very attractive, they are very beautiful, they are very gorgeous, but the truth of the matter is that after a while, like the passion will fizzle, it starts with sizzling and then eventually it will fizzle. So that's why, like what Rose has mentioned, it's very important to not just focus on like the biological level, which is what a lot of people start off with, but move on to the next level, which is very good, significant, like where you are a big part of the person's life, like the person is proud to say that you are a boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband and wife. But then the deepest and most important level is definitely meaning, because that's where you share common goals, you share common values, like you are actually sharing life with that person. And I mean, even when the person like lose their looks, like, or lose their job, or lose their wealth, or whatever, those are the things that not to say does not matter, but because you have this bond, you have this meaning together, like your relationship will still continue to flourish. So I hope that answers your question, Billy. Okay, so right now we want to do a quick and simple exercise with you. So on the screen, you'll be able to see a list of physical and personality or characteristics. So we would like you to maybe write down the number of your choice on the chat box. So you can see that for physical, there are like quite a number of items. So you can put in like a 1, like 8, 12, and then of course on like the characteristics, like we have like responsible, respectful, intelligent, confident. You can put in your numbers as well. So give you some time to do that. You can share it in the chat box so that we can have an idea of like what are some of the things that are most important to you. And at the same time, while you're writing down this, I really want to hear from our panelists for tonight, both Renee and Rose. So Renee is our lead coach, so she definitely has been coaching a lot of singers, and she also have helped a lot of singers find their match as well. And of course, Rose has mentioned she has been with us for a super long time. She started off as a matchmaker matchmaker, and then now she's a country head. So in her experience, she has also met a lot of singles where she has attended their marriages. She have helped them through difficult times in their relationships where they are still thinking, like, is this person who's right for me or not? But anyway, I'll leave it to them to share, where they'll share an interesting story about their client criteria and how like they actually help their clients to overcome this criteria, and at the end to find the love of their life. So ladies, who would like to start first?
I can start first.
Okay.
Yes, I think many times, like a lot of what I realized from clients is that some of them would come back and tell me, so I met this guy, so he's everything I want from my checklist, but then I have no chemistry with this person. So he looks good on the books, but like when they went out, they just didn't have that flow of conversation, didn't have that chemistry, and eventually it died off. Then I remember after that, she went on another date. She went on a lot of dates, and then she met this guy. I told her, I asked her this question. So what is one thing that you want from a partner that if he doesn't have it, you would rather be single? Yes, so she focused on that. So she went out with this guy, and then she came back and told me, like, he's not tall enough, I wanted like someone that is like at least 175 cm and above, but he's not that. But then he makes me laugh. I have such a good time with him, and he has that thing that you asked me to focus on, that one value, and they really hit it off. And they were actually quite compatible with each other. They actually got together. So I think when you go out on dates, right, I think the best tip is that focus on what is important. And yes, a lot of times when we want someone like this, like that, then when we meet that person, we actually don't have chemistry with that person. Yes, what about you, Rose?
Actually, that's very common, right? Really, in our
Yeah.
line of work. So my story probably is more about client who came. Maybe not just a client, not one client. I mean, there are many clients who come to us during consultations, and one of the questions, or one of the areas that we focus on is, what are you looking for? What do you want, or what do you see or want to see in your ideal partner, right? And at first, the girls and the guys, they usually list quite similar things, for ladies, tall, stable, sense of humor, and it becomes this ideal list. And what I like to do with each client is really break down something similar to what we're going to do in this webinar, right? We're going to break down what are the top 3 must-haves, what are the top 3 deal breakers, what are some of the nice to haves when it comes to looking for a partner. So I play a game with my clients where, we start with whole 20, 30 list of all the criteria that they are looking for. And of course, I force them to narrow it down over time. And then we are left with maybe top 3 for each category. And what happens after that is we focus on those top 3s. Okay, and there are clients ultimately who get together, or most of our successful couples who actually get together, don't fall 100% into each other's criteria. I promise you that. Even for my own personal stories, right? I never expected my husband to be my husband, and we all have this idea of what we are looking for. But at the end of the day, right, if you really dive down into what's most important to you and the things that will create a long-term relationship, this will mean that kind of support, that kind of common values, that kind of common beliefs, and for your partner to allow you to be who you are. I would say boost your strengths and help you grow as a person.
Thank you, Rose, for sharing that story, and also Renee as well. And I totally agree with Rose, because like her, I also didn't know that my husband would be my husband because like Rose, like initially the kind of person I was imagining is quite different, and then my husband is like completely different from that. So I think what we are just trying to say is that ultimately it's like, let's not focus too much on like some of these criteria that we think might be very important, but I think ultimately what makes the whole relationship work is really the compatible values, like, someone we feel that we really can share our life journey with. So
Yeah.
time's up, and I think I'm so impressed. Thank you so much for taking part in this. I think at least half of the room actually have done this exercise. Well done, guys. Give yourself a big round of applause. So right now, I think I just want to maybe get Renee to share with us. So what do you think about the choices from our audience here?
Okay, so if what you have chosen, right, if your physical numbers are actually longer, your physical types numbers are actually longer than your characteristic numbers, right? Then you have to think, is it only your preference, or do you need to actually stick with that list? Is there any possibility that you open up to someone who doesn't perfectly match your list? If most of your answers written are actually characteristic, numbers are longer than your physical, then it's very good to see mostly everyone here choosing characteristic of someone over their physical. We all probably know that physical matter is slowly going to disappear or change as time goes by. So physical criteria is kind of like nice to have and not need to have from a person, right? So also there is the possibility that you're having high standards or being a bit too picky. So here's the difference. So number one is like, if you don't want to meet them before anything, okay? When like your friends or your family want to introduce you to someone, right? They know which they think that you might like, and then you refuse to meet them or already say no thanks, she works in like XX company, or his face is not my type. It means you are a little bit picky. Okay. Another example is when you have chatted with someone over the phone or on dating apps, right? But you get the impression that there's not much chemistry, so you block the chance of even meeting that person. Okay, meeting them in person. This is also a way of being picky. Okay, because not everyone is how they are when they are on the phone or online or on a chat. It is very critical, right, for us to actually meet that person face to face, to be able to tell if there is anything between the both of you, for any spark to actually happen. So give yourself and give that person a chance before you actually break it off too quickly. Okay, and then the smallest things turns you off. Once you start dating them for a bit, then you find yourself getting turned off by the smallest things. For example, you don't like how they chew their food, or how they wear flat shoes instead of high heels. Even the most perfect person will have something that you do not like, and that is okay. You're not supposed to adore every single trait that your partner has. That does not exist in reality. So before you stop the chance, right, of anything real to happen between the both of you and the next person you date, give it some time and relax a little more. Give some room, right, for little flaws to come out. They are actually what make us human after all. Okay? So you don't even meet your standard that you made for them. So when you have a checklist, right, a lot of time it's like we can't even actually fulfill that checklist that we made for the other person. So don't forget to actually take a good look at the checklist and ask yourself if you meet all those things that you wrote for that person. Sometimes we may wonder, why is it so hard to actually meet someone like handsome, like a model, successful, kind, humble, popular, romantic, loyal, smart, and generous. But the truth is that would someone with all those qualities, right, and traits be with someone like us? There's nothing wrong with being specific with what you want in a partner, but again, make sure that we mirror those kind of traits as well that we want from the other person. So if we are very far from our standard, right, it will be good to actually work on ourselves as well.
Thanks, Renee. Like I was just listening to Renee. I'm like, wow, that's definitely tough love. Yes. So I think, like with us, we always want to maybe say things that sometimes people are not willing to say. So well done, Renee, for sharing that. I mean, I know a lot of times, like, like maybe if we ask our friends sometimes, like, hey, why you think that guy never call me back? Like, oh, how come, like I thought he was very interested, and then like people would just say things like, yeah, he's just busy lah, things like that. But I think with us, I mean, of course, definitely, he could be busy, but we don't want to just gloss it over and just kind of like just like sugarcoat things, because I think what Renee has shared is sometimes really the reality that we are seeing, but I think a lot of people do not want to talk about it. So I think just to add on to that and just give a very quick illustration. So actually a lot of my friends, like, or new people that I meet, once they know that I'm like in the love industry or I'm matchmaker, then they'll be like, hey, Violet, I have this friend. My friend is very good, like very, very good. I don't even know why my friend is single. Like, like I'm married lah, but if I'm not married, I'll definitely choose my friend. My friend is so good. Then I say like, okay, I don't even need to meet your friend. I can tell you why. Then you're like, wow, how come you are like what, fortune teller or mind reader? I say, no, it's just very straightforward. I say, okay, since you say your friend is so good lah, okay, so let's say your friend is a girl, okay, you say your friend is so good. So on a scale of 1 to 10, right? So let's say average is 7 lah, what will you score your friend? And then he will say 8. Then I say, okay, yeah, very good. Your friend is 8, right? So if you think your friend is 8, like what do you think your friend is looking for? Then he'll be like, 9 lor. Yeah, I say, makes sense lah, because she's 8 what. Then I say, so what do you think the guy who's 9 is looking for? Then he's like, oh yeah, 10 lor. Then I say, now it's very straightforward, right? Like now your friend has 2 options. One is like she make herself a 10, right? Which is like 2 steps up, right? Because that is what the people she's looking for would be looking for. Or the other option is to realize that actually there are a lot of people who are 8s or even people who are 9s, which would be great matches for her, but it's like she's not even considering these people in the first place. So then suddenly the person was like, oh yeah. So I just want to thank Renee, for sharing that. It is true lah. So I think we need to also think that if this is what we are looking for, what would this person also be looking for as well? Yes. So with that, let's also move on to the next segment of what we are discussing tonight. So now that we know our homework, like which is really to revisit our criteria, I think like Renee and Rose have talked a lot about this just now. It's like, what is the most important thing to us, rather than just, like this whole long list that we have, right? Like, I think, of course, if we would like to have everything, but what is the really must-have that we have? So maybe something you want to revisit after tonight's webinar. I think it's also very important when we are finding love or when we are dating to understand that there are actually different stages of a relationship. So I think before I invite Rose to share about this with us, I think we just want to do a quick poll as well to make sure everybody is still awake. Okay, so I'm going to launch a poll right now. How many stages are there in a relationship? Let's see how many of you will get this right. How many stages are there in a relationship? I know some of you very cute, right? You just choose the highest number, right? Since the highest number is 6, you just choose 6 lah. Okay. Nobody choose 1 now. Okay. Oh no, just as I say nobody choose 1, someone actually chose 1. Okay, so almost half of the room, more than half of the room have taken part. I'm just going to end the poll in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, end poll. Very, very cute are you all. So I think, like you're like mini money more, is it? Like you just tikam like when we do exams last time. So you just kind of like, since it's 1 to 6, maybe the answer highest probability will be 3 lah. So 39% of the room has chosen 3 stages in a relationship, followed by 26% who choose 4, and another 26% who chose 4. Okay, so now we are going to review the answer. So I'd like to invite Rose to share with us. So what are the number of stages in a relationship?
Hello. Okay. So in total, right, there are actually 5. I'm looking at the answers tree and I'm thinking, is it dating casually, in a relationship, and marriage? So sounds logical, right? So in the 5 stages of relationship, we start with attraction. Okay. So at this stage, both people are interested in each other. Both are on their best behavior, right? On the first date, I wear a dress, I put on makeup, I make sure that my lashes are on. When I talk about topics, I try to avoid sensitive things. I try to get a gauge of your sense of humor when it comes to going on a date. This is the part where we actually kind of turn up for the interview lah, in that sense. So the next stage will be exploration, right? This is the exciting part. This is the part about getting to know each other, what you like, what you dislike, your interests, your hobbies, what do you do after work, what do you do when you're happy, what do you do when you're angry. So it's exploring individual needs and outlooks as well lah. And of course, getting to know each other on a deeper level compared to attraction. So definitely these two parts, we talk about honeymoon stage, that feelings of, in Chinese we call 暧昧, that feeling of having the chase, the excitement of seeing someone new. And we go into level 3, exclusivity, where we actually, find out more about more serious topics. How's your family like? What are your personal values? What troubles you? What troubles do you have? What wins do you have? So this part, we also see the couple getting more serious when they decide that I want to stop dating other people. You are the only one that I want to see. And they start dating each other exclusively in a relationship. Okay, so we have 4 where it comes to commitment. So being in a committed couplehood. So this is where we are extremely serious. Of course, at this stage, maybe the gentleman hasn't asked the lady to marry him yet, but the things that you're talking about would include more serious topics like, do you want children? Is career, family, which is more important? You talk about maybe even finances at this stage. What are your future plans? Do you want to get HDB? I think something very common in Singapore, right? Or do you want to maybe think about planning, traveling, in the next 2 years, more long-term plans. These are things that we talk about at this stage. Then we go to engagement, where, we have the proposal stage. I would say that usually at this stage, right, this is when the gentleman finally asks the woman to marry him, or the lady to marry him, and they have plans for the wedding. And of course, at different levels, there's different periods of time, right? Some people spend a lot of time on a committed couplehood. Some people spend less time on committed couplehood. Some people spend a lot of time exploration. So understanding the stages, help you understand what's going to happen next. At the same time, help you realize, is it too long for me? Is this something that I can accept? So this allows us to set our boundaries and to communicate what we require to the other party, so that at least we can have an understanding of each other's goals. It also helps us keep track of our progress, and of course, protects us from unnecessary heartbreaks. Because at the point of exclusivity, if we are not able to talk about future plans, we are not able to talk about difficult topics like money, religion, having children, how are we going to go into committed couplehood thinking about engagement as well? So why people break up also because they are at different stages of a relationship. For example, maybe I have a boyfriend who's only at the exclusivity stage. He's very comfortable with being in a relationship with me, but we can't move on to committed couplehood. And that's when he maybe feels I'm too fast, and he's very comfortable at this stage and we don't agree. And that's when people break up. Okay, so my advice for everyone here is to really be aware of these 5 stages, so you can understand what's going to happen next, whether this is what you are looking for in terms of being on this stage for however long period of time, and then really use this to communicate with your partner.
Thank you, Rose, for that very comprehensive explanation. And I totally agree with Rose that it's so important to make sure that we are on the same stage. So like what Rose has mentioned just now, obviously, if like your boyfriend is in stage 3, and then like you are like waiting for stage 5, and then there's just going to be a lot of challenges, because one person is just kind of like very chill, like very happy just being in a committed relationship, and you're kind of like, how come he still haven't proposed to me yet? And obviously there's just going to be a lot of pressure, but at the same time you also feel that you really want to go to the next level as well. So I think it's very important to always check back to make sure that both of you are at the same stage, and like if someone is getting ahead of the other, to just make sure to calibrate again and to see how can you guys move forward together. Just keep checking in, because if not, like what Rose has mentioned just now, it will end up with a lot of heartaches as well. So I think the last part of tonight's webinar is we really want to talk about how to develop healthy dating attitudes to, of course, increase our chances of finding the right one. Because, like what I've mentioned just now, when it comes to our matchmaking philosophy as well, it's really not just about meeting the right one, which of course, like that's what a lot of us focus on, on like going on apps, or like, going for dating events, going for dating services, things like that. But ultimately, it's also a lot about our attitude, our skill, and our presentation when it comes to dating as well. So actually, one of our participants just now have mentioned that his or her relationship is usually just stop at exploration, like he or she actually have no ideas how to go on to the engagement stage. So thank you so much for being so honest with us as well. And I think that's why, like this series of webinars that we are having is like, we really want to see how can we help to, help you maximize your potential and maximize your chances of success as well. So Renee and Rose, so please to share with our participants tonight, how can they develop healthy dating attitudes?
Yes, Violet, I think my first tip, right, to developing a healthy dating attitude is to really keep things in perspective. So don't make your search, right, for a relationship the center of your life. Okay, concentrate on activities, right, that you may enjoy, like your career, your health, and your relationship with family and friends. So when you focus on keeping yourself happy, okay, it keep your life balanced, right, and make you a more interesting person as well when you do meet someone special. And my second tip is to always focus on building genuine connection. So the dating game, right, can really be nerve-wracking, and that's very normal. But no matter how shy or socially awkward you can feel, right, you can always overcome your nerves and your self-consciousness, right, and make a really great connection.
What about you, Rose? What do you think?
Oh, for me, I think most importantly is to have fun. I think whatever you do, you must have fun. I feel that when you start getting tired, especially when you're dating and you're going on date after date and it doesn't work out, right? Think about putting a priority on having fun. Do something fun for yourself. Maybe stop dating on these apps. Think about trying a new hobby. It could be going to a gym, trying a fitness class, doing pottery. Because I do feel that when you are having fun, you are living your best life, that's when you start to attract people who are attracted to their energy also. So while you're enjoying yourself, that's when people think, wow, I want to be part of that life. I want to get to know this person who is so passionate and having fun in this. It's really very attractive, and at the same time you are at the best place or the best time to find a partner.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So obviously it's like we need to be the person that we want to attract. So, if you want to attract someone who is positive, who is happy, who is cheerful, then clearly that person would like to have someone like that as well as a partner. So, if we are, just always like very passive, or we are just kind of like negative, and then we are just feeling, very down all the time, then clearly we might end up attracting someone like that as well. And then we are like, oh, oh, why is it that, all the people that I attract are like that? So I think, I think Rose has made a very good point there. And of course, like what Renee has said earlier as well, I think, which is very relatable, which is we need to focus on making sure that we are happy, our life is balanced, and being a more interesting person would also help us to attract other similarly interesting person as well. And I think one last tip that I also would like to add to this, which is, I think, one thing that we have been going on quite a lot about tonight is really avoid the checklist syndrome. I think it's very easy to fall into that. And maybe sometimes even as matchmakers, we might contribute a bit to that because we would ask you, okay, fill up this form, what do you want? What are you looking for? But I think it's just so important to be very clear what are some of the things that are your must-have. I think for must-have, just keep it to maximum 3. And what are your deal breakers? And same thing, keep it to a maximum 3, because like what Rose have shared just now, what I've shared just now, our partners actually ended up being people that are quite different from what we initially thought they would be. So I hope with this, it gives you an idea on how you should move forward. And I think the other thing is that what I always tell a lot of our single clients is that the yardstick whether you should go on a second date is really not how much you like the date, but actually how little you dislike him or her. I know you're kind of like, huh, what? But we just have seen so many of our clients, like, it's not love at first sight. I think a lot of people, like, they are hoping for that love at first sight. They are hoping that once they go on a date, there's like lots of chemistry, there's lots of like the electricity, like sort of thing happening, right? But the truth of the matter is a lot of our successful couples, when they went on their first date together, it was okay, it was pleasant. They didn't like fall deeply in love with each other immediately, but they didn't not like each other too much, and that's why they were happy to explore, to go on a second date again. So I hope that's something that you can consider. If there's someone that you have gone on a first date with recently, and actually there's nothing too much that you do not like about him or her, definitely, like if he or she asks you on a second date, I would highly encourage you to do so, because you never know what would actually come out of it. So with this, we want to, of course, save some time for Q&A. We have seen quite a number of questions that have come in. So I'm just going to bring up the questions list. And then for Rose and Renee, I will let you know in advance, which one is going to you, and then you can have some time to think about it. Okay, so okay, this is a interesting question, and I think it's also a very real situation as well. So for Rose, how and when to bring up difficult topics like medical history or condition?
Okay. How and when to bring up difficult topics?
Like
Definitely
medical
not the
history.
first dates. Okay, I would say definitely not first dates. So I have people who I have heard of people who immediately say upfront, during the date itself, oh, this is what I have, this is what I have. Okay, and then that's it. There are no more second or third dates moving forward, right? I feel that if you have a condition that you feel is important to, or a medical history that is important to share with the person you are dating, probably this would be at the exploration stage. So this is when you are getting to know each other, especially values, and there are deeper understanding as well. This allows some space, for kind of understanding, and also giving the person more things to think about in that sense. It's up to him or her to accept at the end of the day. But at this stage, people understand that you are trying to be honest, you are showing interest, and that's when you are able to be as open as possible about this medical history.
Yeah, thanks, Rose. And I think maybe just quickly to add on that, we talk about this concept called emotional bank account. So obviously, when you met the person for the first time, if you have a bank account, it's probably 0. And then if like on the first date, immediately you try to draw down on it, then immediately it gets negative lah. So like what Rose have mentioned, that's where like people will just run away. But then if during the first date, the second date, you build up on this bank account, like it's like $100, $1,000, like $10,000, then by the maybe fourth or fifth date where you start revealing some of this information that people might maybe get a bit surprised or shocked, at least like they already have built up a history with you. So at least when they are drawing down, it doesn't get to zero or it doesn't get to negative immediately lah. Okay, so we have another question here for Renee. So as the saying goes, practice makes perfect. Does it apply for dating, which is super hard for me? How to smoothen the dating process and how many times? So I think Renee, as a date coach, this is the perfect question for you to answer.
Yes, thank you, Violet. So practice does make perfect, it does improve. But at the same time, I think you have to ask yourself, are you doing the same thing over and over again? Because if you're doing the same thing over and over again, then you would have the same result. So if you want it to be better, then you have to try something else. You have to try something new or like do something new so that you yield different results and better results. Okay. Yes. So how many times is also, as you go along, we learn from mistakes, and of course we learn from what gives us reward, right? So mistake and things like that. So as you go through it, you would learn, but it would be faster if you really try out different results, different actions as well. Yes.
Thank you, Renee, for that. I love that. It's true. Practice does not make perfect if you keep practicing the wrong things. So I think that's a very good point. And that's why, like a lot of our singles, they come to like our dating coaches, right? Like Renee, because, you want people to point you in the right direction, right? Not like you just keep practicing a wrong thing and then, yeah, unfortunately, you just keep going the wrong way. So we have another question here for Rose. So one of the characteristics I would like to find in a partner is to be financially stable and successful in terms to be able to support me and complement my flaws. How can I work on this? And am I being too picky?
Okay. Working on this, I just assume that it means how can I maybe dive down and then try to find a partner like this, right? So I would say to begin with, right, let's say financially stable, successful, and able to support me and complement my flaws. When I hear these questions, I think some of the things I will also ask my clients is, okay, what is financially stable to you? What does success look like to you? Does he have to have a certain job title? Is it the earnings? Is it his drive? Which of that is more important to you? Okay, able to support me. Is it in terms of emotionally? Is it in terms of financially? Is it in terms of my personal goals? And of course, my flaws. What are my flaws like and what I'm looking for? So from there, right, as you break down and ask yourself these questions, you start to streamline. It's going to be broken down into probably like 20 criteria lah, just based on these items alone. And that's when you streamline by asking yourself, okay, what can I cancel? What can I keep or have to keep? Okay, that will allow you to understand, am I really picky when I ask myself these questions? Or after streamlining, okay, this is what I'm looking for. In that case, when you're on first dates, how do you know whether, for example, this person is driven? How do you know that this person is able to support you in these areas? Are you able to tell? So from there, you decide that, okay, these are some of the things that I look for. And then if, general, these must-haves, I can tell. Or if I cannot tell, and the person I don't dislike at all, I will go on a second and third date to understand better. So that's what I will do with this criteria. I probably, after asking yourself these questions, then you will know if you are picky or not. Of course, another way is look at this criteria and ask yourself, in that case, what kind of ladies or what kind of gentlemen are these kind of profiles looking for? Am I like that? How far am I from that? And how can I be closer to that?
Thank you, Rose, for that. We have lots of questions coming in, but I think unfortunately we have to answer our last question for tonight. So the lucky winner of our last question for tonight, this question is for Renee. So Renee, what is the secret weapon for a great first impression?
Yes. So this is, I think, is a very good question. Okay. So the secret weapon, right, I think for both gender would be how you are dressed. Okay, make sure that you actually dress well. Okay, put in effort, right, in dressing, and then with the flow of the conversation. So how well you can carry a conversation. So if you have this tool, right, it will be a secret weapon. So normally it will be, you can have a very good first impression. Yes.
Thank you so much for that, Renee. I agree. I mean, it's like first impressions do matter lah, and then we need to put in the effort. I always tell clients, I say, hey, you cannot decide right after you go in and you're like, oh my goodness, I like this guy or I like this girl. Then I just disappear and go back home and change, and hopefully, the person kind of forget the first impression. I mean, unfortunately, it doesn't work like that lah.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that, I just want to say a big thank you to both Renee and Rose for joining us tonight, and of course sharing their amazing insights. And also would like to share with you guys that as usual, we do have a very special webinar gift for you tonight. We have an ebook. Yes, so I think it should appear on the screen right now. So if you'd like to get a copy of this ebook, please do go to the link that we are going to put up now. So it's a bit.ly link, /LA webinar gift. So you can submit your contact details and you can redeem the gift. And of course, for those of you who are joining us for the first time and you really enjoy tonight's webinar, please do feel free to share with your friends as well, because we always say good things must share, right? So you can also share with them, and then we'll send them an invitation to join our webinar in future. And before we say bye, I really want to hear from you guys as on the one thing, like what is your aha moment tonight? What is the one thing that you are like, oh wow, like if I didn't join tonight's webinar, then I wouldn't have know this thing, or I wouldn't have learned this thing. Or maybe what is the one thing that you'll start doing because of tonight's webinar? Like what is one action that you would actually take? So please share with us. Yeah, I'd like to see what you have learned tonight. What is your aha moment? What is your biggest takeaway? Yes, so we have HP, 5 stage of relationship. Angie say avoid the checklist. Ishu say recognize the stage of dating. Cynthia say 5 stages of relationship. Joy also say 5 stages of relationship. Linda say don't kill the bird too early. Yes, I agree. I think a very interesting way of putting it, but I know what you're trying to say. We have Sunny who say practice. It's not necessarily perfect if you do the same thing again. Exactly. Irene says scale down my checklist and learn the 5 stages. Amy say mirror the traits that we want to learn from our prospective partner. Inda say the 5 stages of relationship. Casey say go on second date depending on how little you dislike him and her. Exactly. Stella say when to share about medical issues if any. George say checklist syndrome is harmful. Wow. Elle say emotional bank account. Billy also say don't focus on how much you like, but also focus on how much you actually do not dislike. Wow, lots and lots of great answers here. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us tonight.